For a few unbelievable years at the end of the 1980s, if you asked people to name the single greatest athlete alive, a lot of them gave the same answer: Bo Jackson. And here's the crazy part: they didn't mean the best football player or the best baseball player. They meant both. At the very same time, Bo Jackson was a star running back in the NFL and an all-star in Major League Baseball. He ran over grown men. He broke bats over his knee. He ran up outfield walls. He wasn't a player. He was a superhero people watched with their mouths open, and everybody, from kids to grandparents, knew him by one name: Bo. And then, in a single second, on one completely ordinary tackle, all of it ended. Not a horrific crash, not a car accident, a routine football play, the kind that happens 200 times a game. He got tackled, he got up, he limped off to the sideline. Everyone assumed it was minor. It wasn't. That one tackle was the end of the greatest what if the sports world has ever seen, and the beginning of the fight of Bo Jackson's life. Because what that hit secretly did to his body was far worse than anyone realized at first. And what Bo Jackson decided to do once the thing that made him a god was ripped away at just 28, that's the real story here. Stay with me, because this isn't only about what was lost. It's about who he chose to become when it was. Before we go back to the beginning, subscribe if you like the stories behind the legends. Because Bo Jackson did not start life as a superhero, he was born Vincent Edward Jackson in Bessemer, Alabama, one of 10 children in a family with almost nothing. His father was absent. And as a boy, Bo had a severe stutter, so severe that, he said, it was even hard for him to say the word I. A poor kid who couldn't get his own words out, who got into fights and trouble early on. Hold on to that image, the kid nobody would have bet on, who couldn't even say his own name smoothly. Sports became the one place where he never stuttered, where his body spoke for him. And what that body could do, it turned out no one had ever seen before. At Auburn University, he became a phenomenon, and in 1985 he won the Heisman Trophy, the highest honor in all of college football. Every NFL team wanted him. And that's where Bo did something no one does. Instead of picking football, the safe fortune, he decided to play two professional sports at once. He joined baseball's Kansas City Royals and football's Los Angeles Raiders, treating an entire NFL career as, in his words, just a hobby. And he didn't just show up. He became the first athlete ever named an all-star in two major professional sports. Think about how absurd that is. The best in the world don't master one of these leagues. Bo was doing both, at the same time, with room to spare. And America lost its mind over it. Nike built an entire campaign around him, Bo knows, showing him playing every sport imaginable. And it turned him into one of the most famous human beings in the country. The highlights became legend. A 91-yard touchdown run so fast he ran straight through the tunnel, snapping bats over his own head. A throw from the outfield that shouldn't be physically possible. For a moment, Bo Jackson wasn't just an athlete, he was the idea that maybe a human could do anything. The kid who couldn't say I was now a one-word icon known by everyone. And he was still only in his 20s, still climbing, still nowhere near his ceiling. Which is exactly what makes what came next so cruel. The 13th of January 1991, an NFL playoff game, Raiders against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bo takes the ball and rips off a long run, 34 yards, doing what he always does, looking unstoppable. He's tackled from behind at the end of the run, an ordinary tackle. He feels his hip pop. He gets up, walks off, and at first the team thinks it's just a bruise, a pulled muscle, nothing serious. But the hip hadn't just been knocked, it had been dislocated, and that's where the real damage was hiding. Out of sight, already beginning. Within weeks, doctors found the truth, and it was devastating. The dislocation had cut off the blood supply to the ball of his hip joint. The bone was, in effect, dying a condition called avascular necrosis. The cartilage was gone, and there is no coming back from that at full strength. Just like that, the football career was over, instantly and permanently. The Raiders released him. The baseball career hung by a thread. The most explosive, physically gifted athlete anyone had ever seen had been brought down not by a rival, not by decline, but by one freak second, at 28 years old, right in the middle of his prime. The greatest what-if in sports history had just been written, and no one could rewrite it. But here's the part that tells you who Bo really was. He refused to just disappear. He underwent a full hip replacement, an artificial hip, and then he did something almost no one believed possible. He came back to Major League Baseball to play with that artificial hip. And in his very first at-bat back, after more than a year away, Bo Jackson hit a home run. The crowd came apart. It was pure defiant proof of who he was. But everyone watching also knew the harder truth. He was a shadow of the force he had been. The explosion was gone. He played a couple more seasons on. That hip, on sheer will. And then, in the mid-1990s, he quietly walked away from the games that had made him a myth. So here is the real story of Bo Jackson. Remember how we started the stuttering kid from Bessemer who couldn't say, "I," the boy nobody bet on? The tragedy is obvious. We never got to see how great he could have been, and we never will. But watch what he did with it. He didn't spiral. He didn't drown in bitterness the way so many fallen stars do. He went back and finished his college degree at Auburn, a promise he had made to his mother. He built a quiet, successful life in business, and he gave back to his home state, riding across Alabama to raise money for families hit by tornadoes. The lesson of Bo Jackson was never really the two sports, or the highlights. It's that the greatest athlete alive had the one thing that defined him torn away in a single second, and still chose to become a whole man, instead of a cautionary tale. The body was a miracle. What he did after it failed him is the part worth remembering. So do you remember watching Bo? Tell me in the comments. And subscribe, because next time we go behind the curtain on another legend, the world only thinks it knows.